Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani. Welcome to Beyond Wellness Radio, where we provide actionable health information on a week-to-week basis that can help you improve your life. Feel free, head over to justinhealth.com, where we have various opt-in video series on more in-depth health topics such as female hormones, thyroid, and gut health. Also, while you're there, feel free and schedule a consult with myself, Dr. J, and or my colleagues. We're available worldwide to provide natural health support for any of your major health issues. Again, welcome to the podcast and enjoy the show. And we are live. It's Dr. Justin here in the house with Evan Brand. Today, we're going to be talking about the benefits of collagen and glycine on your health. Really good topic. Really excited to dive in.
Yeah. So I started taking glycine before I went to bed, and I started noticing improvement in sleep quality. Now, I don't know exactly the mechanism. I'm guessing that it may have some type of like a GABAergic effect. I mean, I haven't looked at like glycine and GABA, but I'm assuming there's got to be some kind of connection, because after I take it, I mean, I just feel like mentally, emotionally, physically, just kind of settled. I'm going to type it in right now, glycine GABA. I don't know what you know about it, but for some reason it relaxes me.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen lots of benefits with glycine. So collagen is one of the major components. Glycine is one of the major amino acids as a percentage in collagen. So people usually talk glycine. Glycine and collagen are intimately connected due to the amino acid percentile. So I love collagen, and we'll use collagen and glycine interchangeably in this conversation here. So I love collagen for its many benefits. So with glycine, glycine's a major fuel of the enterocytes in the intestinal tract. So if you have any gut lining irritation or inflammation or gut lining integrity issues, glycine is a really powerful fuel source used by the gut lining. So it really helps with gut integrity. That's why collagen's great, or bone broth is so great. It's a major fuel source, number one. Number two, glycine is a major component in making glutathione. So to make glutathione, it's a tripeptide, meaning three amino acids, glycine, glutamine, and cysteine, all right, GGC. And it helps with, glutathione. Glutathione is a major antioxidant, helps with detoxification. So a lot of benefits on the detoxification side. And also sulfur many times can be used for, helping with methylation, with whether it's neurotransmitters, whether it's dopamine. It can be helpful in a lot of the methylating of a lot of these nutrients, because sulfur is a really important compound. So those are a couple things out of the gates. Anything on GABA too, Evan?
Yeah, I pulled it up here. Yeah, so Science Direct had a paper on it. It was just saying that increase in glycine may result in effects similar to the increase of GABAergic transmission. So it's not saying 100% that glycine improves GABA, but it sure sounds like it. And then there was an article here that actually one of our supplement friends that we like, Pure Encapsulations, they had an article here about GABA and glycine, and it was saying that, oh yeah, here we go, it binds to the chloride ion channels to relax the central nervous system neurons.
Yeah, and so does progesterone too. Progesterone really opens up those GABA chloride channels too as well. A couple things here as well. There's an article in the sleep promoting and hypothermic effects of glycine, and this is in the Neuropsychopharmacology article, May 2015. One of the big take homes here was the data suggests that exogenous glycine promotes sleep via peripheral vasodilation through the activation of NMDA receptor sites. NMDA is N-methyl D-aspartate. So NMDA, this is kind of like these, mechanistic pathways that are activated via glycine. And part of how it does it is glycine increases cutaneous blood flow. So glycine is actually increasing blood flow to the brain, which is really cool. And just as an FYI, there's a lot of articles on gluten actually decreasing blood flow to the brain. So part of some of the reason why some of these things can be beneficial or not is blood flow, is good vascularity. Gluten will decrease blood flow, and it shows that glycine will actually help improve blood flow to some of these parts of the brains, which is really cool.
So there was an image on this article, and it looks like GABA and glycine actually bind to the same receptor. It almost looks like they share a receptor. So that's why you would get the same benefit. And then of course they were marketing a product that was a GABA glycine combo because it hits that same receptor site. So that's really cool.
Yeah, a couple other studies we see here out of the gates showing it helps modulate body temperature. We know body temperature is a big thing for sleep, right? think we know like a 65 to 69 degree or 70-degree temperature in the room, Fahrenheit's ideal for body temp. Also, things like cold showers before bed, even though you think that would be stimulating, it's actually shown to help improve sleep. So things that can be used to help modulate body temp is big. And part of how that could be happening is um, GABA, right? Because we know GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So if you help kind of relax and calm the body, it could probably relax and calm the nervous system. And we know an overstimulated nervous system could increase body temp. So that calming effect mechanism definitely plugs in there as well. And then we also just know that body temp plays a big role in just being able to relax, right? We know you get too hot, you move around in bed. We know you get deeper sleep with good body temp. So that's a really good, powerful thing out of the gates. Anything you want to add on that?
Well, I was just going to talk about collagen for a minute. So I'm kind of on the fence about whether collagen creates a histamine problem or not. I have some people that are really, really sensitive and they feel that collagen affects them, in regards to histamine intolerance. So I would say if you're somebody like that, you're not sure whether you could just do collagen where you're going to get glycine. Maybe you just do, like I'm experimenting with, just a glycine in isolation. So that's just my one comment on it, because I love the collagen. I wish everybody could do it, but I have had a few people who say, you know what, I think this is creating a histamine problem. When you look up like collagen, histamine, it's not clear. I don't think it's black or white. I think it just depends on certain people's sensitivities. Have you had any experience with people saying anything about it?
Yeah. So number one, it depends. So like when I formulate my collagen, we use proteolytic enzymes in it as well. And we try to use, pasture fed, grass fed, organic, like super high quality. So that helps. A lot of manufacturers, they'll do sulfuric acid with the collagen. So they'll add the acid to break it down into its constituent amino acid forms. We use proteolytic enzymes. I like that. Choosing high quality makes a difference. There still could be some histamine sensitivity, right? Most of my patients do great with it. Now, most patients coming in to us have already done things like bone broth, and most already know if that's an issue. So I always tell patients, try bone broth. Does that help you? Do you react? Now, if you react to bone broth, what's the next solution? Well, I tell patients, if you react to bone broth, try making your homemade bone broth with an Instapot. That way you can do it in 1 to 2 hours versus like a 10 to 12 to 16-hour kind of deal, because the longer you cook something, the more histamine accumulates. So the first thing is try regular bone broth. Is that a problem? Okay, if it is, now try doing an Instapot where you cook it shorter and see if that fixes some of the problems. Those are two things out of the gates. And then it's always worth trying collagen, because I'd say 90% of people have no problems. But if they do have a problem, you can always try the bone broth in an Instapot. And then, like you mentioned, we can even go just to isolated amino acids down the road if we need.
Cool. Yeah, that's great advice. And really fixing the root cause stuff too, right? So if you couldn't tolerate it, then you got to figure out, well, what's going on with your gut? What's going on with your DAO production? Is there some type of a toxin issue affecting your kidneys? Is it an intestinal problem? Is it a leaky gut? Is it an infection issue? So yeah, in theory, you're right. I think the majority of people should tolerate it just fine. I just happened to do some samples. I like to do some samples of some of these companies, and they sent me a glycine by itself. And I thought, well, let me try it out. So I've been doing 3 grams of it before bed. And I'll tell you, it's definitely a more sound sleep. So I can confirm what the research says on it. And then also, something that's pretty interesting is that glycine there's some type of mechanism with nitric oxide. And so there's a lot of these different like observational studies of people with chest pain, and they were finding that people that had higher levels of glycine, they had a lower risk of heart disease and heart attacks. And so they're thinking that the cholesterol is better regulated with higher glycine, that nitric oxide production is probably increased. So that's going to lower your blood pressure. They're talking about lower blood pressure being associated with glycine. So I think it's because you mentioned it's a vasodilator. So that would make sense.
Yep. So sleep's a big one. We also know collagen's going to really help with the joints, right? Because we know 1/2 of your bones are protein. Okay. And then we need good building blocks for our cartilaginous tissue, ligamentous tissue. And frankly, most of society, they're getting most of their protein from muscle meats. That's a problem, because we're not getting the knuckles, the bones, the cartilage like we would in a lot of old fashioned soups and things. And so if you're doing a lot of soups and bone broth soups, that's great. If not, we really want to add in extra collagen. Now I do collagen in my coffee every morning. I do 20 grams. I think it's amazing. I do my true collagen, 20 grams worth with some MCT oil and grass-fed butter. I love it. I think it's excellent for skin, for hair, for nails, and just for overall prevention of bone loss and cartilage loss, right? We know kind of the wear and tear that most people experience in their joints throughout the year, especially if they do a lot of long distance cardio. You really need more building blocks to help prevent and mitigate the wear and tearing so you don't have knee and joint replacements later in life. And collagen can really help decrease some of that wear and tear.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you mix it in with smoothies? Do you do coffees? How do you use it?
I like it in my coffee in the morning. It's wonderful, and it kind of has a nice little kind of creamer like effect. So it's kind of gives that little bit of frothiness, which is wonderful. And then I'll also do it before bed. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of collagen, and collagen, the main amino acid constituents, glycine, and I'll do a little bit of magnesium and vitamin C, because vitamin C is a really important building block for making collagen. And I find magnesium has some very good calming effects as well, whether it plugs into GABA or it's just a natural beta blocker as well. So it can kind of calm the heart, bring the heart rate down a little bit, and which is very, very calming. I think magnesium does work on some of those GABA pathways as well. And of course, magnesium helps with blood sugar too. And it's shown to have, deeper sleep, better REM sleep when you have good magnesium on board there too. So I love combining collagen and magnesium at night. It's amazing.
So you mentioned the best supplements, like a bone broth or a collagen, but someone's like, okay, what about just food? I mean, is there anything I could do to be getting these things from food? Well,
Yeah, the only thing from food is just bone broth.
well, check this out too. This is cool. So this is not a ton. But chicken skin is super rich in glycine, roughly 3.3 grams for 3.5 ounces. Now, I never measure the skin when I do my pastured rotisserie chicken. I have no idea how much skin I'm eating, but I'm eating some. So that's cool. It says you can get 3 grams from 3 ounces.
100%. Yep, the skin is awesome. And if you make chicken soup, throw the whole chicken in there, right? Get a rotisserie chicken from Whole Foods, and or get the the fattier cuts of the chicken, at least with the bone and the skin. So that way you get the best of both worlds if you're going to do it from a whole food source. 100%, totally agree.
And then regarding seafood, wild salmon is going to be
Yep.
the best source of glycine from that. And then
Love that.
What else here? Spinach. I didn't think of spinach as having a good source of glycine. That's probably one of those like tiny bit, but they still want to put it on the list kind of things.
Yeah, it's one of those things that they kind of lie to you a little bit. They're like, "Oh, it's like a large percent," right? But then how they lie to you is, well, because spinach has so little calories, of course it's a large percent. But
Yeah.
you'd have to eat so much of it to get up to any level that you get in meat. It's like they say, "Oh, you can get like you can get protein. You can get like protein from spinach. Like spinach is like this amount of protein, like 20%, right? But then you actually compare it to like, let's say grass-fed meat. I did this comparison to get 6 ounces of protein in grass-fed meat, or to get, like 50 grams of protein in grass-fed meat. It's like 6 ounces of grass-fed meat. To do it in spinach, it's 16 cups of spinach or kale, 16 cups of kale. I'm like, okay, well, that's like unpractical. No one's doing 16 cups of kale, but most people get down to a meal and do 6 ounces of, let's say a filet mignon, right? Not that hard.
Yep. So like lamb is good. So even
Yep.
like they're talking here, even like lean lamb could be 2 grams of glycine for 3 ounces.
great.
And if I eat lamb, I'm going to probably at least do 6 or 8 ounces. So I may get 4 grams of glycine there. I just wonder
100%.
how much you actually get though. You know what I mean? Like if you're eating that much, how much are you actually getting as compared to if you just do a half teaspoon of powder where you get 3 grams? I don't know if it's apples to apples because it's already so pre-digested in a supplement form, right? I don't think like I'm going to eat a lamb burger and then get the same restful sleep as if I were to take a scoop of glycine powder.
No. Plus the problem with protein, and there's nothing wrong. Like we want to make sure the majority of what we get is from real whole foods. That's really important. The problem with trying to get extra protein from actual food itself therapeutically is that there's something called the thermic effect of food, right? That's how much energy it takes to process the protein. So 30 to 50% of the protein you eat, actually that energy goes to the digestive process of it. So 30 to 50%. That's part of the reason why people that are sick, they have a harder time digesting protein is because of the large amount of energy that has to go into it to break it down. And then people tend to be achlorhydric, so low stomach acid, and they already have digestive issues, maybe H. pylori. So they have a hard time and tend to go more vegan, vegetarian instinctively because their digestion stinks. And so that's where adding in extra amino acids can be helpful, or just if doing more soups and doing more things that are liquid to make it even easier on your tummy.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we forget that we're talking to the average person who may be above age 40, who's making less stomach acid, and maybe they have H. pylori, so they're making less there. So when you look at these charts, you kind of have the food as medicine crowd, which that's certainly you and I. It's like, yeah, we totally are
Yep,
food as medicine, but it can only
100%.
go so far. And if you have all those other factors you're talking about, that takes your estimated 4 grams of glycine from your lamb burger down to maybe, who knows, 500 milligrams. Maybe you only get a couple hundred milligrams at the end of the day. So this is why we come in and we do specific supplementation, like he's mentioning, with like a collagen, or if you're doing a straight glycine. And then I just love that it's helping with detox too, because, glutathione is critically important. We talk about that all the time for mobilizing toxins. We talk about it for protecting the cells against the oxidative stress. So it's cool to think that you could take something to improve your sleep that's also going to improve your detoxification ability. So we can put some links below if you want to check out a couple different brands we use. We use professional healthcare manufacturers. So could you just go to Amazon and buy some glycine? Sure. But in general, we're going to recommend you go through a professional manufacturer. So there's Pure Encapsulations. There's many other brands that we use, but we could put a link or two and show you what we would recommend if you want to try this experiment. I know that sleep issues are epidemic because I've dealt with them, but you and I talk with people clinically. I would say sleep is probably one of the top 5 complaints for people. And this could be a simple strategy to help regulate your sleep rhythm. You still got to work on root causes, but this is low hanging fruit here.
100%. So I always like to create the algorithm, right? So if you're kind of a newbie coming in here, all right, maybe we try to get some wild Alaskan caught salmon. Maybe we try to make sure there's some skin on the foods that we consume. Maybe we try to get some bone broth into our diet, or just some really good soup that you make in an Instapot or a crock pot where you throw whole legs and bones in there, right? I mean, that's great. That's kind of first step, is kind of the food is medicine, whole food crowd. Is a good foundation. And then we look at getting in some extra amino acids. So especially as you get older and wrinkles and skin integrity issues and joint integrity become a concern, collagen's wonderful. I like it because it works on the inside stuff, joints, bones, but it also helps the superficial things that are still important: skin, hair, nails, and decreasing elasticity problems, meaning less wrinkles. So I like all that stuff too. And collagen is very important for hyaluronic acid, which does help with skin integrity and wrinkles and all that good stuff. So first thing, if you're concerned about how you look and hair and skin, collagen out of the gates, right? Do that before you do Botox or any lip filler stuff. Really try to get the internal amounts up therapeutically via amino acids and collagen powder. And then make sure the foundation's there as well, so you really have a good foundation to get it in on your diet on a day in, day out basis.
Awesome. And then can you test for this, or would you say just looking at all the other functional markers, you would assume that there's a deficiency? I know the oat, I don't think it looks at glycine. I mean, it measures a ton of nutrients, but I know you do a couple of different panels too. Like you've mentioned the ion panel before. Does that one look at glycine or any others?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. On the organic acid test, there's also a marker under detoxification that does specifically look at glycine. So the big one that looks at that, glucarate, high amounts of glucarate, there could be glycine issues. High amounts of 2-methylhyperate, especially with xylene. Like if you have any exposure to xylene, that really causes a lot of hepatic conjugation stress. It really eats up a lot of glycine and B3. So that's a big one. So anything exposure to xylene, that really is going to increase glutathione or glycine burning as well. Now, again, xylene, you can get xylene in a bunch of different sources. I'll pull up a link of where you actually get it exposed to, just so you guys have a couple ideas, because that really is going to cause a lot of burning up of that.
Yeah, I almost, if I had a toxic chemical profile, I would pull it up too. And they have which is cool. The labs that we use, they'll give you a big source. I know the car exhaust is number 1, but I want to say nail polish.
Yep.
May have
Nail
xylene.
polish, automobile exhaust is going to be a big one. Probably for most people. If you're female, obviously on the nail side, getting your nails done is a big one. And then the extra thing I would say is going to be just the automobile exhaust. Petroleum refineries, automobile, a lot of the petroleum byproducts are a big one. So that's why it's good to have, if you're someone that's getting exposed to a lot of those things, right? Make sure you throw some extra glutathione and glycine in before you go to the nail salon if you know you may be exposed to it, right? I'm not saying you don't have to enjoy those perks if you like it. Nothing wrong with that, but just try to mitigate. Be smart. If you're having one stress on this side, add something in that will neutralize on the other side.
So who should specifically be paying extra attention to this issue? I would say vegetarians and vegans, because they're not
100%.
going to be getting all these beneficial nutrients from your skins and your broths and your bones and collagen and cartilage and all of that.
100%. Yep. I think that's a really good one out of the gates. And there's some decent marine collagens that are out there. So some vegetarians can kind of work on still doing some fish. So you may want to look at a marine collagen, right? I like the type 1 and 3 collagens the best. So I like my grass-fed, pasture-fed bovine sources like that. I get mine from Argentina. So we go try to in a non-GMO, high quality kind of grass-fed environment to make sure, quality is really high.
But if you're a vegan, then what? I mean, it just sounds like you need to just stop being a vegan.
A lot of vegans or vegetarians can kind of wrap their heads around taking collagen supplementally if it's in an amino acid form, because there's like no flesh, there's no nothing. You really just have the constituent amino acids. It's really in a powder form. But worst case, if let's say a vegan can't wrap their head around that, well, let's get them on a free form amino acid blend that has nothing, that doesn't come from a animal source. Maybe throw in some extra glycine that's already been extracted from a free form source. Maybe that's a good buy-in out of the gates. And then if we can add in some collagen, great. But if we can't, that's at least a good first step. My whole thing is like, I'm all about helping you where you're at. And so if this is where you're at, fine. I always like to tell people, if you're eating a diet because you're afraid that it's affecting the environment, maybe you want to get a little bit more educated on that, because my whole thing is one of the worst things for the environment is going to be monoculture and spraying lots of pesticides on the soil. That's far more dangerous to the environment than having, my family may need to survive on 1 cow a year, right? So if my family is a net death per family ratio, it's like 1 death per family on the beef side per year, right? So you don't need a lot if you can actually raise a healthy animal and then kill that animal and save it, cryovac it, freeze it. You can really provide a lot of nutrition per death, if you will. Where on the monoculture side, with a lot of soy and wheat and grains, people don't understand there's all kinds of critters that get caught in those combines when you harvest wheat and grains and soy. Tons, rabbits, chipmunks, snakes, lots of amphibians. Those kind of things get chopped up in it as well.
Yeah. You'd probably get, don't quote me on this, but it might be like a sugarcane source, some of the more like lab made type glycines. If you're not going to do like a collagen, it might be like a sugarcane based glycine.
Yes.
It tastes pretty sweet. The one that I do, it almost tastes like sugar. So I'm guessing it's like a sugarcane based one.
Yeah. A lot of times they extract it and they ferment it and such. So it's, you can do a good free form amino acid formula where if you're not open to changing your thinking on that, that's at least a good in-between negotiation.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that's all I have to say about it. I think if people want to check out your collagen, you can just put a link for us, maybe in the comments of your video, because some people may be watching this live on YouTube. So you can put a link there, and then also in show notes. And it's called True Collagen. I think you spell it without the E, right? It's TRU collagen.
Yeah, correct. We'll put a link down below. I have one called True Keto Collagen, where it's half collagen, and then we add some extra supplemental amino acids like carnitine and taurine. And we do a coconut colostrum in there, which is helpful for immune. And then also there's a little bit of MCT oil powder in there too. So it helps on the ketogenic precursor side. It's got a lot of vitamins and minerals, full spectrum multi in there too. So with folate, we get that redone. There was folic acid in the past, and I was able to go back to the manufacturer and tweak that and make sure there's no folic acid, just folate. So that's the big thing out of the gates. We'll put links below. So just kind of rehashing here, glycine/collagen, excellent detoxification, glutathione, great antioxidant support, great building block, hair, skin, nails, gut lining, joints, integrity. Also helps with sleep, helps with core temperature, helps with blood flow, helps with GABA receptor sites. I would say collagen also is going to be very good for anything else there. I think I hit it all. Anything else you want to highlight?
I mean, I would argue the mood too. I mean, it's going to be
GABA, right? Yeah, all that.
Yeah, it's
sleep.
going to be potentially calming you down, settling your nervous system quite a bit. I just feel more grounded when I'm doing this. So I think it's a good strategy that everyone can implement. And if you need help clinically, if you just take this, is it going to magically get rid of all your issues? No, but it's good low hanging fruit that mostly everyone could benefit from and without much initial investment. But if you need further help clinically with your health symptoms and issues, please reach out. You can reach Dr. J at justinhealth.com, me at evanbrand.com. And we look forward to speaking with you. We work with people around the world. So this is a very beneficial relationship we have with people. If you're somebody who's been doing glycine, you've been doing collagen, and you're still not happy with the results, well, you got to figure out why. What's under the hood here? You can't just take collagen and have magic skin and magic gut. There may be underlying issues, and that's where we come in, and we use advanced at-home lab testing where you can do it from your home. You don't have to go out anywhere. You send those back to the lab, and we can investigate what's under the hood here.
100%. Well, I appreciate that good summary. If you guys enjoy it, share is caring. We appreciate it. Share it with friends and family who can benefit. We always appreciate a review. Links below for that. You guys have a phenomenal day. Take care, y'all.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Got a question for Dr. J? Go to beyondwellnessradio.com and click the questions button. Then tune in to hear the answer. Also, if you like the show, click below to review us on iTunes. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.